start. Yeah, just Channing. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Channing Arndt from the University of Copenhagen, and I have a couple questions on prices. First, for the Department of Total Pollutants Control, Ministry of Environment, the first speaker. I was just wondering, have you all considered Pigovian taxes as a means for achieving some of these goals? We had a presentation, so a carbon tax or a tax on fuels or something to that effect. And then for the integrated assessment model, is there a price on fuels inside the model?
So here, in the model. Okay. Yes. 你可以现在回答哈。
Okay. Thanks for your response. In our this IAM model, there are no carbon tax and as well as fuel price. But in our CGE model, we also developed a model based on CGE. They can integrate the carbon tax and the fuel price. Thank you.
Okay. Any more? Is it enough? Charlene? Yeah. Second question.
In your projections, you had a very high requirement of reduction from the industrial countries. Like it was about 80% for USA, that sort of thing, which seems to be like an impossibility in real terms to achieve. But the other aspect involved here is that you count the emissions in China, okay? It's a state-controlled counting of the pollution emissions and control. And so two questions arise. A lot of the emissions in China is a consequence of producing goods for export to the industrial countries. So really those emissions are the responsibility perhaps of the industrial countries more than of China. That's one point. The other point is that in the case of counting emissions from all the various countries in the world, when you look at the global impact of controlling China, do you have any collaboration? I mean, how do you determine that India produces so much and USA produces so much? Is there some kind of umbrella coordination so that you correlate your measurements in such a way that they can correspond in this way? So what I mean is, if you estimate an emission in one country, how does that counting, how do you control that counting correlates with a measure in another country, in America or wherever? There has to be some kind of agreement that what you count and what I count is acceptable to both of us, put it another way.
Okay, yeah, carry on. Second.
I also had Josh Busby from the University of Texas. I also had a question, I guess, for the second presenters. If the actions taken in the second scenario were consistent with the already announced plans under the 12th five-year plan in terms of the trajectory of China's emissions, or if additional policies would be needed to be enacted to be able to achieve the sort of scenario of significant emissions reductions from China in that second scenario that you presented.
Good morning, Adam Slosser from MIT. I just first want to thank the panel for their presentations. I know how difficult it is to give a presentation in English when obviously that's not your first language. So I really appreciate the effort. My question, and maybe I missed this in your talk, and it's probably to each of the speakers, is to what extent do you feel that renewable energy penetration can factor into your emissions reductions? What is the realistic target, do you think, could be achievable in your scenarios? And I guess in particular with the IAM model that you employ, do you have an explicit treatment of this renewable energy technology in your scheme? And if not, what do you think the development would require to do that?
Would you like to answer these two first?
Okay. Firstly, the question about the relationship between one country's emission reduction measures with the other one. In our IAM model, we introduced GDP spillovers, which to describe the interactions between countries. Because if one country implemented some emission reduction measures, this will influence their economy. So with the GDP spillovers, this economy of one country, change of the economy of one country will influence the other country. So we integrate the relationships between the measures implemented in developed countries. Yeah. Am I clear? Okay, thank you. And okay. And the second question is about the 12th five-year plan emission reduction target, and whether this target is included in scenario 2. The answer is no, because the second scenario is based on the principle of convergence in per capita emission. So there is no relationship between with the 12th five-year plan. Thank you. And finally, it's about the renewable energy technology. In our IAM models, we didn't consider the renewable energy technology. We just distinguish fossil fuel energy and the non-fossil fuel energy. But maybe in some CGE models, we can integrate these factors. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. We have time for a couple of questions. Otherwise, we are very much close to the end.
Thank you. Philip Adams from Monash University. Really a follow-up question to the last one. If renewable energy sources are not necessarily taken into account in your integrated assessment modelling, where does the reduction in emissions in China come from?
Any more? Yeah, one more. Yeah.
I just wanted to follow up my last question, because it seems like the modeling efforts are sort of policy-free assumptions. Like if there's convergence in per capita emissions and the end trajectory is this, then here's where we're going to end up. But it's kind of devoid of whether or not there are realistic prospects for actually getting there. And so it seems like there ought to be, I hope at some level that there's some engagement with the policy aspects like the 12 five-year plan, because it's unclear to me if, as a previous questioner suggested, expectations that the U.S. and other countries would have 80% emissions reductions by a certain date may be highly unrealistic. I don't know if your expectations for China's emissions trajectory are equally unrealistic, or if there's some engagement with the policy side, whether it's renewables targets or otherwise. Otherwise, it seems like an exercise in, wouldn't it be nice if emissions reductions were to converge in this direction? We could still keep temperature below 2 degrees Celsius, but actually, there's no way in hell that we're actually going to get there.
他是个 comment， 不一定回答。谢谢他的 comment。
Okay. Thanks for your comments. And we want to mention that the applications we showed just now, the purpose is that we want to show that what the model or the system of our IAM can do, but not we don't want to suggest that the scheme is the final scheme for global emission reduction. We know that there are a long way to go for the global emission reduction schemes. Yes, and also you mentioned that why the US have to cut 80% emission reduction. Because in a lot of schemes, for example, the Stern schemes, he also suggested that developed countries have to cut such extent. So we just adopt this emission reduction target from him. Thank you. And also, thanks for the gentleman's comments. And the emission reduction where the emission reduction in our IAM model comes from. And in our model, because it's a general macroeconomic modeling, so we don't have a specific technology distinguished in this model. The emission reduction comes from the emission coefficient reduction. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think we are running out of time. I think I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to the panel, okay, for the very excellent research and very informative presentation. And I also like to say thank you for the audience for your attention, for your interest, for your engagement, for very helpful discussion and questions. All right, thank you very much. Okay.